welcome to video 3 in a set of 6 videos, although there's going to be a whole series of videos looking at what I'm calling the real history of the world. And in this video I am looking at the beginnings of the world, the reptilians and the prophecy. So let's get right on with it. Now at one point the earth was very different than it is now, and I look into this in more depth on my website. If you want to know more about that, then please go along to my membership site on my website. However, we are going to be starting off by the original conscious beings on the planet, which we are led to believe were whales and the dolphins. Now, it's important to remember that the whales and the dolphins have a much higher conscious vibration than we do, and it is in fact, and I've been led for so many sources have agreed on this, that it is in fact the whales and the dolphin that have kept the Christ conscious grid in place throughout this entire history of the world. One of these sources was a book called The Legend of the Golden Dolphin, and this was written by a gentleman of the name of Peter Shenston. Now, I have not read this book, but I would be very interested if any of you have, if you could let me know what you think of this book, or also the theory of the original consciousness being the dolphins and the whales. Like I said, I have had lots of different sources to say that the original conscious beings on the planet were the whales and dolphins, so I'm sticking with that. Now, what comes next on our timeline is a little bit more in dispute: the reptilians. As you probably know, if you've ever looked into the reptilians, there's no information about the reptilians at all, or at least very little seems to be getting through now. Although lots and lots of people do seem to agree that there are reptilian races here on the earth, or at least there certainly have been, and certainly interfering with the human race. Although it's in huge dispute how they actually got here and how they actually got involved. Now, I am going to be discussing some of the different theories here, but the theory that I'm going with, the one that keeps coming up time and time again, is that the reptilians were actually one of the original races on the earth, that they were around at the same time as the dinosaurs, that the reptilians were here way before humanity was. When the giant cataclysm occurred that killed the dinosaurs, the reptilians were able to survive that. Now, it is suggested that this cataclysm was in fact a pole shift, because we know that the pole shifts on the earth quite regularly. Well, in historical terms anyway, quite regularly. Other theories suggest that they came through portals. We can take a reasonably good guess that these reptilians came from off-world, and I will be discussing where they possibly came from once again on my membership site on my website. If you go to startlightworkcircle.com, I would really love you to join me there. However, other suggestions of how they got here is through different time-space portals, particularly the Atlantean space portal, which obviously I'll be talking about later on. Another suggestion is that they came with the Martians, or they came at the same time as the Martians, and I will be looking at this much more depth in my video covering Atlantis. Now, apparently there are lots and lots of different races of reptilians, and not all of them are bad. I certainly wouldn't be wanting to say that. Some of the reptilians can be quite good, but certainly from the suggestions that I've received, that the reptilians who are actually here are perhaps not quite so good. Now, obviously the reptilians take a huge part in what's been going on Earth, and we can certainly assume that they have been causing a lot of the issues that have been going on, certainly wishing to invert us to keep our energy down. Now, whether this is for themselves or whether this is for a lower vibrational entity that work through them, obviously it could be either one of these or it could be both of these. I'll be exploring that as we get onto what actually happened. But before I leave you, I do just want to give you one very important piece of information that I was guided to. Now, these reptilians apparently are not only on this planet at this time. They've been on lots of different planets at lots of different times, and every single time they've caused the same outcome: the destruction of themselves. They've caused lots of different wars, lots of different problems, and ultimately usually result in their own self-destruction. Now, this ties in very neatly with this prophecy that I was led to consider. It was suggested that millions of years ago there was an interdimensional mystic who claimed that there would be a planet in the Milky Way that would house a species that would end the war of all wars. Now, this was brought to me from a video from a lady called Elizabeth April. But it's very important information to keep in mind as we're moving forward. It will be important as we move forward. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you found it interesting and I hope you found it useful. I hope you're going to be joining me on the next video when we're going to be looking at the birthing of humanity, which is so exciting. Can't wait to get on with that. If you want early access, go along to my full course with the full videos, all the information on my membership site on my website, starlightworkcircle.com. I would love for you to join me there. Otherwise, I hope to see you in the next video, which is all about the birthing of humanity. So I hope to see you there. Bye.